Hi everyone. Today I'll be talking about a disorder that affected my family. Not really my entire family, but mostly myself as a single mom of 5 kids. It was a disorder that helped me guide my kids through their whole lives, especially with my oldest son. This is a behavioral disorder that occurs in a lot of male children, and it could even go up to their adulthood. It is really concerning when they're children and they have this disorder, because as kids they don't understand what's going on with them, and so I decided to pick this topic to talk about it. The behavioral disorder I'm talking about, it's ADHD. So, what is ADHD? ADHD is an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Okay. Most common neurodevelopment disorder, first detected in childhood, of course. Sometimes well, not sometimes, it always contributes to low self-esteem, troubled troubled relationships, troubled friendships. I noticed it when my son was about 6, 7 years old, but never thought nothing of it. I thought, oh, he's just being a kid, He's having troubles with friends, he's being hyperactive, he's just running around, doing his own stuff. But as time went on, he started having difficulty at school, not able to sit down, not paying attention to the teachers, not staying in one place. The teacher, I had constant meetings with them, so it was really difficult for me to be trying to help him trying to help him how to do stuff. There are three most common categories that can affect a child's life. The first one is behavioral development. The second one is cognitive development, and of course, mood disorders. Okay. Behavioral development, we have anger. Kids get angry, very normal. Kids do their tantrums, they do everything that they're supposed to do. But with ADHD, their anger is so much different, so different. Fidgeting, excitability, hyperactivity, impulsivity, irritability. It's just, they're so all over the place. They don't have a spot. Thankfully, my son's teacher was able to help me with my son and guide him through it once my son was diagnosed with ADHD. She helped me through a lot, and she actually had him different desks all around the classroom, so when he wasn't able to stay in one spot, he would go to his other desk. So he had like 3 4 desks all around the classroom. Very, very exciting for him. Cognitive development, absent-mindedness, difficulty focusing. I mean, he couldn't focus on his homework. It was so hard for him. He had so much potential. I could see it in him, but he was always distracted really fast. He would forget some stuff. Short attention span. That was my biggest one. His attention span was very short. Sometimes I blamed myself for his short attention span, because I myself suffered from short attention span, but I didn't know I was ADHD like my son till I was an adult. So finding out that you're ADHD and as an adult is a little bit more discerning than when they're children, because you could work with it. As an adult, as finding yourself, it's hard to try to navigate through all that, especially if you're not deciding to take medications. For myself, I decided not to, and I bared with it till this day. But right now, we're focusing on the children, not on adults. The third one is mood disorders. This one was my biggest thing. Like I previously said, anger, excitement, mood swings. His mood swings would go from being depressed, being like on himself, not wanting to play with his siblings, to being all over the place, jumping, screaming, fidgeting. His biggest fidget was his hands. He was always doing this, always moving his fingers, couldn't get stand still, couldn't sit still. It was really hard for me to try to control that. But thankfully, um, it helped out. I did it. The other one was anxiety. He would, like I said, be in a corner, be sad, depressed. It was really bad. And then his boredom, if I wouldn't let him do something, like an activity, running around or something like that, because he needed to do homework, he would just be so out of it, so bored. Sometimes it was funny the way he would put his faces, but at the same time, it was sad because of his face. So it was really hard. There are different types of treatment for this. The most common are mostly two. There's therapy, which there's support groups, a forum for counseling and sharing experience amongst people. Cognitive behavioral therapy, which it's a talk therapy focused on modifying negative thoughts, anger management, practicing mindfulness, coping mechanisms, and triggers advanced to minimize destructive emotional outbursts. Counseling therapy, a branch of psychology that treats personal problems related to school, work, family, and social life. I decided to do this. I did a lot of the family therapies, a lot of the talk type therapies. I decided not to go the medication route, because you'll see right now what I mean on the medication side. That was a biggest thing of myself. Like, people might think like, oh, you were mean, you didn't do it, you did it for yourself, da da da. And I'm like, it's not that. It's just, if you would see my son, the times he would be sad and everything, I wouldn't want him to be worse than that. So the other types of medication treatments is medications and their side effects. Okay, they're stimulants, which increase neurotransmitter levels, heart rate, and blood pressure. So it transmits waves into the brain so the kid could come down. It does accelerate their heart rate, their blood pressure, so they feel palpitations in their heart. That's something you wouldn't want your 5-year-old, your 6-year-old, your 9-year-old to go through those feelings. As an adult, you feel it and it feels really bad. So imagine a child going through that. It's not that good. Decreased appetite and decreased sleep. As is, my son had decreased sleep, so I don't want him to not be sleeping. There's also cognition enhancing medications. It improves their mental functions, lowers their blood pressure, may balance moods. The may balance moods are the ones that did it for me, because it tells me that it wasn't going to help him with his mood swings. It might help him, but I mean, lower the blood pressure. I don't want him to have his blood pressure dropped just all of a sudden and not helping him do anything. The other one are antihypertensive medications. This is mostly for people that have high blood pressure. My son did not have high blood pressure, so I would not want him to take this type of medications. So I wouldn't focus on the lower blood pressure. But my biggest thing was the mental functions. It doesn't always help. For me, my opinion is it never helps. He might be okay during the day at school, but when they would get home, it's like they're sad, they're depressed, they're in their beds, something's always going wrong with them. And my son is still till this day a loving, happy kid running around. Okay. Don't get me wrong, he's not a kid anymore. He's an adult. Thankfully, he's 24. I coped with him. I helped him. I did a lot of things with him. I kept him active in sports. I took him to the park. I mean, as a single mom of five, and working full time, trying to take him to do his sports, trying to work with the other kids. It was really hard, but thankfully I managed through it. I went out and I did it, and now he's, like I said, he's 24 years old. He's a grown man, and he has his ADHD under control. Sometimes I do notice that it comes back once in a while, and he tells me that he has some problems, but he has managed through it without medication. He keeps active. He has an active. He works. Staying active. He doesn't stay in an office. He doesn't like to do office work, but he keeps active. Hopefully, this was an informative speech as best as I could. Thank you, everybody.